Hello, everyone. Welcome to Between the Lines by Raj, episode one. I hope to do a lot more of these in the future. Let's see how it goes. Right. So today, if you look at it in the news, in the headlines, there's a lot going on. Around the globe, like mass anti-government protests in Iran continue to escalate despite the internet blackouts and of course, the violent crackdowns, a movement with deep economic and political roots challenging the current regime. That's Iran. And the United States and China are logged in a geo-economic tension, like with tariffs, trade retaliations, the threats and economic policy now doubling as tools of geopolitical strategy. And in Venezuela, if you look at it, they have begun to, I think, release some imprisoned Americans, signaling a potential shift in the United States and Venezuela relations after years of conflict and intervention. Now, the World Economic Forum identified geoeconomic conflict as a top global risk for 2026, highlighting the economic confrontations as a source of instability across the world, right? And if you look at Europe, across Europe, parliamentary and regional elections and civil conflicts from Benin to Syria, they continue to reshape the political orders and alignments. So today, like again, the reason why I came here is to tell you to look past the headlines, look past the personalities, right? Now, because what we are witnessing today is not chaos, it is continuity. For centuries, empires have followed the same script. When profits stall, power turns outwards. So when inequality widens, leaders search for enemies. Like when the system fails the many, it distracts them with fear. Like today's world leaders, speak the language of security, growth, stability, and whatnot, right? So, but the history teaches us to listen to what is not being said. So, in the 1930s, economic collapse did not magically produce cooperation. So, it produced nationalism, it produced scapegoats, it produced war. In the Cold War, ideology was a stage prop, but capital accumulation, resource control, and labor discipline were the real plot. And today, different slogans, same machinery. Wars are framed as moral necessities. Sanctions are framed as diplomacy. Like austerity is framed as responsibility, and surveillance is framed as safety. But ask the simple question history always asks: who benefits? Not the worker whose wages lag behind inflation, not the student buried under the debt, not the family paying more food, rent, and energy while corporations post record profits. The beneficiaries are familiar: financial institutions insulated from risk, defense industries thriving on instability, corporations that privatize gains and socialize losses. This is not conspiracy, this is political economy. The leaders do not wake up plotting evil, though. They wake up protecting systems that reward them, systems that require inequality to function. And when those systems tremble, democracy becomes inconvenient, right? Protest becomes disorder, like dissent becomes extremism. History books become selective, right? We are told there's no alternative, but history shouts back. There always was an alternative. Now, every labor right you have once called dangerous. Every social safety net was once called unrealistic. Now, every expansion of democracy was once called radical. So the question of our time is not whether leaders have intentions, they do. The question is whether we recognize them before history repeats itself again. Because when power is concentrated, silence is profitable. And when people stop asking who benefits, the answer never changes. History doesn't repeat because we forget facts. It repeats because we forget structures. And structures, unlike speeches, do not lie. Thank you.